The world's biggest economic showdown is unfolding right before our eyes. Tariffs, retaliations, trade wars. The question is, where does China stand? Is it the invincible economic giant it claims to be? Or is it teetering on the edge, struggling to hold its ground against a relentless U.S. assault? As Washington cranks up the pressure with a 20% tariff on Chinese goods, Beijing retaliates. But does China have the upper hand, or is this a desperate move in a losing game? Let's break it down. China is not backing down. Despite U.S. tariffs hitting $450 to $525 billion worth of Chinese exports, Beijing is marching forward with an ambitious 5% GDP growth target for 2025. Premier Li Qiang on March 5th made it clear, China is doubling down on self-reliance. With a 10% boost in science and tech spending, $54.7 billion is now pouring into AI, semiconductors, and green technology. China's trade playbook is evolving. While exports to the U.S. take a hit, Beijing is forging deeper trade ties with Europe, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. A 4% rise in its global trade share since 2016 proves China's ability to adapt. Even Mexico, traditionally a U.S. ally in trade, is seeing an influx of Chinese goods as supply chains shift. But here's the big question. Is this resilience or just a temporary patch on a bleeding wound? For all its defiance, China is showing cracks. Low-end manufacturing, drifting away to Vietnam and India. Domestic demand, slowing. Youth unemployment, skyrocketing. Over 20% of young Chinese workers are jobless, a figure Beijing is desperately trying to mask. And then there's the property sector crisis. Once the foundation of China's middle class, now a ticking time bomb. Major real estate developers like Evergrande have collapsed under massive debt, sending shockwaves through the economy. A 4% budget deficit hike is Beijing's way of cushioning the impact. But is it enough? China's retaliation in this trade war isn't as effective as it seems. Yes, it imposed 10 to 15% tariffs on American agriculture and energy exports. But the numbers tell a different story. These tariffs affect just $14 to $20 billion worth of imports, a mere fraction of the hundreds of billions in damage U.S. tariffs are causing to China's exports. And there's another problem. China's tech sector is under siege. U.S. restrictions on high-end chips and AI technology are forcing Beijing to scramble for alternatives. Huawei, once a global telecom powerhouse, now struggles with chip shortages. Is China really in control, or is it being strategically cornered? Make no mistake, this tariff war isn't just about economics. It's about global dominance. The U.S. still holds the biggest market advantage, backed by the North American trade bloc, USMCA. But China is playing smart. It's watching the EU struggle with its own U.S. tariff threats on steel and autos, hoping to emerge as the alternative trade powerhouse. Meanwhile, India, Vietnam, and other emerging players are quietly benefiting from the fallout. India, with a 6.5% projected GDP growth, is rapidly expanding its manufacturing base, absorbing industries that once thrived in China. And then there's China's 7.2% boost in military spending. At $245 billion, it's sending a message. It has the economic muscle, and it's willing to flex it. But military power alone won't win this war. China needs stability, and this trade war is creating anything but. So here's the ultimate question. Is China still rising, or is the weight of this trade war pulling it down? Can Beijing outmaneuver Washington, or is this the moment the world sees the limits of China's economic dominance? The tariff war isn't just shaping trade, it's redefining global power. And when the dust settles, will China stand tall, or will it find itself cornered? One thing's for sure, the battle is far from over.